As I reflect back on 1966, I can remember a lot about myself, but I can't think that I really remembered much about the wider world. At the beginning of the calendar year of 1966, I was a senior at Illinois State University. I had already completed my student teaching, but I knew I didn't want to do that. But what was I going to do? During my undergraduate career, I was very involved in student activities, and one of my college mentors suggested that I get a master's degree in college student personnel work. So I applied to many universities, and I was accepted by the one that I wanted to get into, Indiana University. I graduated in June with honors, which means I must have been studying some during that time because I wasn't all that bright. In summer 1966, I was a mother's helper for a fairly wealthy family on the north side in the Chicago, a suburb. The mother was a wealthy graduate, she had 2 young children, and the father was an executive at a major American corporation. 5 days a week, I stayed at home with the mother and the children, and 2 days a week, I went with the father to the Loop in Chicago and worked as a secretary. I think I got to see the feminine mystique played out. That book came out in 1963, and I read it, and it had a major impact on me. By the end of the summer, I had had quite an experience, and I got to live with people much unlike my growing up experience. In fall 1966, I started Indiana University. In addition to starting my graduate studies for my master's degree, I was also a resident assistant. Here I was, just turned 22. I was now called Miss Ripley by all of my students living in the dorm. And at 10 o'clock at night, there I was at the Passion Pit with my keys, making sure that I was locking the women in and the men staying on the other side. By the end of the year, I don't know where I was at knowing about the larger world. I think I probably just wasn't that aware. At the end of the year of 1966, there were 385,000 troops in Vietnam. In 1966, the word Black Power began to be used in the American vocabulary. Also, the Black Panther Party began in 1966, and the National Organization for Women started in 1966. But as far as me in 1966, I could have told you more about the Battle of Marathon, which was in 490 BC, than what was happening in Vietnam. I could have told you more about the civil rights movement and their nonviolent aspects up until that point than what was going to happen later. And as far as the women's movement, I don't know where I was in that. Also, the church was changing. I was raised as a Catholic, and by 1966, Vatican II was just over in 1965, and in 1966, as parishioners, we were supposed to integrate this into our thinking. Well, so there you see, there were seeds of change everywhere, and they were going to continue to be changes that were going to be major in the next couple of years. In the next couple of years, I would be aware of all of these movements and changes. But at the end of 1966, I don't think I was so much. But I was there.